Good evening, short story writers. Tonight's prompt. Um, this is an example of what I mean by taking ideas and modifying them. So, how recently this happened, I don't know, but there's a young lady somewhere in the world who has been granted the right to euthanasia, and we'll say it's in Holland, okay, where euthanasia is kind of legal under certain circumstances anyway, but that is not the point. It's about winning the right to do something, and so extrapolating from that, winning the right to do something which is currently against the law. Now, I'm thinking of perhaps winning the right to look up some classified material because it is of relevance to you in some way. For example, there's some action that maybe a father or a grandfather took part in several years ago, and it's classified, or perhaps they were working covertly for the government of the day, and this would apply to any nation on the planet. So you then, your protagonist, wins the right to find out what they were doing because you feel that that would strengthen your claim to do something or some property, or you need to find out what they did in order to clear their name because they've been vilified since. And so I don't know where you'd go for this, but it's fiction, so you could invent something. They go to The Hague, to the human rights organizations under United Nations umbrellas, or somewhere anyway, which would at least get some sort of traction. They could start a GoFundMe campaign on the internet, and to build up the pressure on the government to allow you access, but you would then have to sign whatever official secret act your country has. So that is the story. Now, how can that be applied to our genres? That is your story idea. That is your starting point, or it could be your end point. It could be that is the what is desired by the protagonist, and the starting point is that, I don't know, the grandfather's besmirchment is having an effect on your protagonist's career. They find that there are certain areas of life that they would love to take part in. They're military, for example, and yet they're being sidelined and eventually excused from duty because these accusations have been made for political reasons. So your protagonist wants to clear his or her grandfather's name. Or it could be the starting point and the hoops they have to jump through in order to get various governments, ministers to agree and go to court and things. So that would be your political and your historical and your biographical side aspects sorted out. And this could be a multi-short story sequence. You could split it into the grandfather's story, his or her children's story. I mean, don't forget there were a lot of female spies during World War II. This could be in France. It could be somebody who was thought of as being part of the resistance, but in fact they were collaborators. Yeah, and vice versa. Horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and surreal. It could be that they were taking part in some sort of MK Ultra style experiment in the 1970s and earlier. There was a lot going on. Don't forget, in Russia they were doing all kinds of strange things in the 50s and the 60s. Two-headed dogs and goodness knows what else. And, why they did that? Grafting. Yes. Comedy. I'll leave that up to you. How that could be comedic, I don't know. unless the person was a comedian and he was using his international fame to go around and hobnob with people who found him amusing and wheedling secrets out of them using some sort of, I don't know, comedy hypnosis routine. There's a story. Okay. Literary. Well, that would be a cause and effect, wouldn't it? Or an end goal and looking at the humanity involved. And perhaps not reaching a happy ending, so the claim is denied. Romance. The client and the lawyer fall in love, I suppose. I don't know. Crime, mystery, and thrillers. Well, thrillers, somebody, Dan Brown style, decides that this person needs to be taken out, so they have to go on the run, and the newspapers and journalists get involved. And that would also be a criminal thing. There are people who've been involved in criminal activities and are now respectable, but they were an associate of said grandparent. I'm going with grandparent rather than parent. And mystery, so that would be why, what was it that they did, and the person goes doing their own delving. Okay, so that's it for today. Your client, your protagonist, wins the right to do something, and that is just one example of what you can do with that. You win the right to do other things, win the right to get your home back from somebody who's impounded it illegally, from squatters, from the government who sequestered it because it was near the likes of Area 51. All right, there you go. See you tomorrow. Happy story writing.